Short of words is not a condition that many people associate with me. But I don't mind telling the House that I have struggled to put into words on this occasion how much I and so many people across Rushcliffe admire Her Majesty the Queen and how much all of us as a country owe to her. Although colleagues will see, I have got through it. History is populated by many great figures. Great leaders like George Washington, Winston Churchill, Margaret Thatcher. Great scientists like Isaac Newton, Charles Darwin and Marie Curie. Great authors like Jane Austen or William Shakespeare. But the measure most often used to define historical eras is the reigns of great individual monarchs or families. The Tudors, for example, or the Stuarts. And the reigns of the greatest monarchs name entire eras, like the Victorians. The question, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sorry, I promoted you prematurely, is what future historians will make of our era. What will they call us? I have a prediction. I believe we will be a first. I think that for the first time in history, an era will supplant an earlier one and take its name. I refer, of course, to the Elizabethans. Historically, the era we call Elizabethan stretched from 1558 to 1603, the reign of Elizabeth I. She represents a great era, with everything from our discovery of the Americas and the defeat of the Spanish Armada to the invention of the first flush toilet. But I believe that era is fated to be subsumed into the broader Tudors, and 500 years from now, when people talk about the Elizabethan era, they will talk about the reign of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. For her reign is longer, more significant and more transformative. Throughout it, as Mr. Speaker himself has said, our country and our world has changed almost beyond recognition. In eras past, the monarch was a remote, distant and unseen figure. And now, for the first time in history, our Queen has had a direct impact on a huge number of us. As the Right Honourable Gentleman, the leader for the opposition, has said, she is one of the most famous faces in the world. Although perhaps not to everyone everywhere. I recall the famous story of the time Her Majesty drove herself to the Royal Windsor Horse Show. Greeted by a guard who didn't recognise her, she was told, "Sorry, love, you can't come in without a sticker." The Queen, unfazed, replied, "I think if you check, I will be allowed in." The Queen has transformed the relationship between the royal family and us, her subjects. For decades, she has been a steadying force at the heart of our country, but also a role model to so many. She epitomises duty, public service and a tireless commitment to this country and to the Commonwealth. For the last 70 years, Her Majesty the Queen has worked on our behalf. And now, at the moment of her Platinum Jubilee, we come together to congratulate her, to celebrate her and to thank her for everything she has done for us. And it's my privilege to speak today as the Member of Parliament for Rushcliffe, to thank and congratulate Her Majesty and to wish her well on behalf of our community. You see, in Rushcliffe we have a proud tradition of supporting Her Majesty and welcome her when she visits. For example, at the time of the Silver Jubilee in 1977, Her Majesty came to Trent Bridge Cricket Ground. She met the England and Australia teams during the Ashes Test. We went on to win that Ashes series. Here's hoping her talismanic properties see us reclaim the Ashes next year. I often visit schools and community groups in my constituency, and I'm struck by the awe and respect shown by everyone to our Queen. Her Majesty has seen political upheaval, personal tragedy, historic moments, and great milestones. She has always done so with a stoic and steely determination. Her personal sacrifice, sense of duty, and commitment to public service, Mr. Speaker, has inspired many people to serve their local communities. And next week, it's also Volunteers Week, a time to celebrate and thank all volunteers in our communities. And in Rushcliffe, this includes the Trent First Responders, the Cockgrave Community Kitchen and Garden, Severday, Renew 37, our parish councillors, the Friary, Ruddington Museum, the Framework Knitters Museum, Tara's Angels, and all of those who lead the Scouting and Guide movements, amongst many others. And it strikes me, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that the real tribute to Her Majesty is not just the celebrations we will have over the weekend, but the tireless work of the many volunteers at the heart of our communities that epitomise the service and duty she has shown.